Hey there, welcome to the Upload and Prep Qualtrics data video. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so first thing we're going to look at here is the Qualtrics data. Here we have it in an Excel file. We'll see Qualtrics give us a responder ID, so that's going to be used to count distinct respondents. Qualtrics also uses the format where they have multiple answers in one column. For example, this is a multiple choice question and they have multiple answers in one column. This is okay. We're going to use a split feature in the prep stage to fix this. And we just scroll over and we see we have a few different question types. Okay, so what we're going to need is we're going to need the raw data, of course. We're going to also need to write down when we create the survey or even after what each question type name is called within Qualtrics. So I just really quickly wrote those down. So for example, what is your name? In Qualtrics it's called text entry. What makes you continue to use this feature? In Qualtrics it's called multiple choice, multiple answer, etc. So we need to know what the exact name is for the question type of each question that we created. And you'll get this, of course, when you create the actual survey. And the final thing we're going to need is VizualSurvey's Qualtrics crosswalk. Now this is going to be in our knowledge base, so you can easily find this. And what this is going to give you, this is going to give you Qualtrics question types here, and this is going to give you what the VizualSurvey question type is. So you're going to pretty much go in and say, all right, Qualtrics called it text entry, and VizualSurvey, I'm going to put it as text box. Next thing is you're gonna do is if it's going to be a singled or group, this is saying if there's just one column associated with this question or if there's multiple or grouped columns, and then some notes for each question type. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started by uploading the data. You can bring in the data by just dragging it, or you can click it in. I'm just going to drag it over here and it's going to upload for us. All right, now we're going to see a nice preview of our data, and it should be exactly how it was in the Excel file. And now we're just going to jump to prep data. Now in the prep data screen, we have all of our data transposed or flipped, so you can see what your data looks like and get a rough count of all of the answers. You have the filter box here where you can filter it down. All right, you have all of your column numbers here, and we can click on each one of these to filter the preview on the left. We have respondent ID. This is where you identify where the responder ID is, which in this one it's right here. We have a select option where you can select some of these and use the actions, which I'll show you. Some of the actions is you can hide them if you don't want to use all of the columns in your data. You can apply a question number, which I'll show you another way of doing it. If you want to see hidden questions that you hid, you can show here, and then split, which I'll show you later as well. You got all your columns names, which you can edit the column names here. But it's kind of easier if you do it later on in the clean step. You have new question number, where you're going to apply a new question number for each of these columns or for multiple columns if multiple columns make up one question. For example, like multiple choice, you could have more than one column for that one question, or matrix, you have more than one column for that question. You just give all those the same new answer number so that we group all those together and we know that those are all in one question. Next is the question type. This is how we identify what question type it is, like I was saying, using that chart type, the crosswalk, and this also tells us what chart type that question is going to be. All right, and we're going to go through all this. So what's your name? Now, remember, like I said, you have to have the Qualtrics crosswalk that you built already, which just says what that Qualtrics question type is. So this was text entry in Qualtrics. Then we go over to the knowledge base crosswalk. Text entry is a text box, and it's just a single number. So it's just going to be one number, all right, which we start out at 1 because we're not grouping anything here, and this is going to be a text box. All right, next one is what makes you continue to use our software. And let's go ahead and look at the Qualtrics crosswalk, and that is called multiple choice, multiple answer. So this is that multiple choice one where we saw that they had more than one answer in that column. So if we go over here, we see we have multiple choice single answer, multiple choice multiple answer. In VizualSurvey, this is called multiple choice, and it's grouped, and there's a note saying we need to split it by a comma. All right, so let's go ahead and go in here. We're going to call this 2 first, and this is going to be multiple choice, and we're going to select it, go to actions and split, and we're going to split this with a comma. Now what this is going to do is it's going to separate all of those answers into its own column so that we can correctly count those. All right. So now if we go ahead and preview, you'll see all of these are in its own column, and we'll be able to count those correctly. And we gave it all a number 2, so we know they're all in the same question. Okay. And we keep going. This next one is what makes you continue to use our software. This was at the bottom of the survey. If there was an other option, if you didn't pick one of these, then you can type in what you want. Now you're going to have to give this its own question number because you don't want to see a whole bunch of free text in your chart. So we'll give this number 3, and this is going to be a text box. Now, the good thing is, if you're always using Qualtrics, then you're going to be doing the same thing over and over, just changing their survey. So once you learn the question type crosswalk, it's just going to be the same thing over and over again. All right, so now I'm going to kind of do this a little fast so that you don't have to sit here and watch the whole thing. I'm going to use this crosswalk, and I'm just going to put it on my other screen so I can quickly see this. Now, what is your gender? This is a multiple choice single answer. This gets its own question number. It's not grouped because there's not multiple answers in these columns, or there's not multiple columns for this question. As you see, it's just one simple question, one simple or 2 simple answers. And this is going to be a single response. This next one here is going to be a matrix table single answer in Qualtrics. This is going to get a grouping, so that we're going to give all of these the same number because this is a matrix and all of these belong to the same question. So this is how we group them all together. In VizualSurvey, this is called a single response matrix. All right, the next one, let's take a look at it, is another matrix, but this matrix is a little different. This is a multiple choice matrix, and you can see because there's a comma here that's separating answers. So we're going to go ahead and give these all the same question numbers. And this is going to be a multiple choice matrix, which in Qualtrics is called a matrix table multiple answer, which you'll get all that information from the crosswalk. And we need to split this one as well. But we're going to split all of these just to be safe. Okay, so we're going to select all 3. And we go to action split. This is also a comma. And apply. And if there is multiple answers in that column, it's going to split it. And let's go ahead and see what happened. Yep, there was multiple ones, and it split it all into separate ones, which is perfect for us. Okay, next thing we're going to do is go down to the bottom, and let's take a look at the next one. And this one is a constant sum. So with the constant sums, you're going to give these all a separate number. And we're going to give these numeric. All right, now what we could do is if we don't want any of these, we can click on the select and hide them, or we can make any of these a filter. So I'm going to go ahead and make my gender a filter. I'm going to select it here. I'm going to type in what I want to show as my filter name, which is gender. You also have an option here to use it as only a filter. So for example, you don't want to see this in a chart. You just want to be able to use this to filter the data. Then you select this option and it won't show up in any of the dashboards. It will just show up as a filter. But in this case, we want it to be both a filter and in the chart. And I'm going to hit save. And at this point, we're finished with the prep. All right, well, that's it for this. Next, we're going to move to clean data, where we're going to clean up some of this. I'll see you in the next one.